Hey everyone, welcome to Awareness with Ashley. My name is Ashley Stewart. I share a first-hand experience of what it's like living with idiopathic intracranial hypertension. You'll hear me call this IIH and migraines. I use my own experience to share what living with IIH and migraines is really like. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's podcast. My name is Ashley Stewart and this is Awareness with Ashley. In this week's podcast, I'm going to be talking about a symptom that I'm grateful I don't experience very often with my migraines, and that a lot of people actually tend to get with migraines. I'm not sure if I'm an oddball with this one or not, but this is a symptom that I just don't notice very often. And I honestly don't think I get it because I wouldn't be noticing it. So the symptom I'm going to be talking about today is nausea, which ultimately leads to the other, which I just want to mention quickly. I'm going to be talking about some things that might be a little gross today. So if this type of conversation bothers you, feel free to skip this one. It's okay. I totally understand. I don't really like talking about this topic either, but it's the reality of living with migraines that a lot of people have. I think a lot of people know that we experience the head pain, and some even understand the aura phase of a migraine. But I think when it comes to nausea and what comes after that, it's not as common. This is a very real part of living with migraines. So I'm going to talk about nausea specifically, but whenever I mention nausea, just know that I could be talking about the latter part with the what leads after nausea. With that being said, I am very, very sensitive to having an upset stomach. Even more detailed, I will avoid getting sick in any way at all costs, so that's what leads after nausea. Not only am I thankful that I don't get nausea very often, but I'm thankful that it doesn't progress to more along with that. I am happy that when I do experience nausea, that it doesn't go beyond that very often, because in fact, I think I can count on one hand the number of times that I've gotten nausea, and it's been less than 3 or 4 times that I've gotten even more. That being said, I almost want to go and knock on some wood because I'm pretty sure that I feel like I'm jinxing myself with this. Nausea is not a very common symptom for me, so it's not one that sparks up the, oh, am I getting a migraine? And actually, I wonder when it comes to the nausea, because I don't get it, it's not very obvious to me when I get a migraine. Like, I've talked about my symptoms in that prodrome phase of the migraine, so before I get a migraine, but it's not something that I'm experiencing very often, so it's very hard to tell when I might actually be getting a migraine because I don't get some of these other symptoms that are very, very common with migraines. That being said, I think I've had one time where I got nausea and it progressed to more. I can only specifically remember one time tonight. That being said, it could have been more than one, but because I'm able to specifically remember, and the reason is I absolutely hate getting sick. Like, when my stomach is bothered by something, it just is horrible. I remember pretty much all the times I've had a stomach flu because that's how much I don't like getting sick to my stomach. I don't do well with any type of nausea. That's one of the reasons why I cut out gluten to begin with, was because I had a upset stomach pretty much all the time, and I found out that when I cut out gluten that I didn't have it as often anymore. I actually very rarely get sick to my stomach anymore, so I really do think that it was that. That being said, it could have been something else that just happened to contain gluten, but I am pretty confident at this point that that's what it was, because I get nausea also when I'm really, really anxious about something, but it's a different feeling in my body. Like, I can tell when it's nausea from being anxious or nervous about something compared to when I actually get contamination from gluten. Ever since I started this meditation journey, I very rarely experience the anxious, upset stomach sickness that I used to get a lot, actually. That's another area that where the meditation has very much improved my life. It's common now that if I'm dealing with an upset stomach, it's nothing to do with something that's going on in my life. It's probably that I ran into something that has either gotten me sick with contamination or something like that. Getting back to this one time that I really remember, I'm not exactly sure what all happened. I remember getting very nauseous and then ended up having it progress to more, but it was a really long time ago. I actually think this was the summer that I might have been on the Pyramid, to be honest. So it was either that summer or the summer following. Like, I wasn't on the Aimovig yet at all. So I'm pretty sure that this was at that point in time where not only was it pre-Aimovig, but it was like when I was at my worst. And what had happened was, I think there was a summer storm or a spring storm that had come through, and I felt my head get really, really heavy. And then it felt like it went right to my stomach. I only remember having this once, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened before and I just don't remember. Nausea is the one thing that really affected me the week that I had my spinal tap with my IIH diagnosis. So getting back into the IIH stuff, I had a lot of nausea that week after I had my spinal tap. And it started out when I would be going from flat, because I was told to stay as flat as possible for a couple days. And then when I tried to eat, I would sit up. I was actually on the couch. I actually ate on the couch those last couple days. And then I actually had another test that was sort of related to all of what was going on, but they were just doing some things to make sure there wasn't anything else. Around the time I had my spinal tap, I was dealing with severe calf pain in my leg muscles. So in my calf muscles were like extremely painful. It was both of them equally, but my doctor referred me to have a leg test done just to make sure I wasn't dealing with blood clots. The doctor did this as a severe precaution. Like, I had all the symptoms kind of a blood clots in my legs, but my doctor was convinced that it wasn't, but wanted to cover basis, basically. They were pretty sure this test was going to come back negative just because of my age and the way it was presenting. And actually, that leg pain, as soon as my pressures went down to normal, I haven't had that leg pain again. That leg pain, I tell you, I put Rub A535. I did a bunch of creams to try and help. Nothing helped that leg pain. The leg pain was just as bad almost as the IIH symptoms. Every time I would go from, again, that's lying flat like this. So you won't be able to see this on the podcast, but I'm holding my hand flat to sitting up. Whatever I was doing, whether I was getting up to go to the washroom, whether I was getting up to try and eat anything, I would immediately get nauseous. And this led to me not being able to eat for a couple of days. It's why I ended up going to the ER that first week. And it was really difficult because there was no place to lie down in the ER. And so I had to sit like that for several hours because although I was urgent, there was like so many people in front of me. It was like bad the first day, but it was getting really, really bad the second day after it went back, after they didn't know what was going on, which I still don't know how that happened, but it happened. When I also get nauseous, I don't like to eat or drink, which can lead to dehydration quite fast. So not only do I have trouble eating, which is not as big of a problem, but it can become a problem. It was the fact that I wasn't also able to drink liquids without feeling the same way. So then I avoid drinking anything because I'm scared I'm scared I'm gonna do worse and just have nausea. So then I get dehydrated. And that's like a serious situation. So when I had my spinal tap done, or like when I've had really bad stomach flus, I've often had to go and get fluids because like I avoid everything because I just am not comfortable. I am bad for eating as it is sometimes when I'm sick, because like I'm usually either dealing with my sinuses being blocked so I can't taste anything, so that makes me not really have an appetite. But then like if I get a stomach flu, like it's nasty. I actually ended up in the hospital the one time because I wasn't able to keep any fluids down, and like as soon as I would have a little bit, be right back up again. When I do get nauseous, it's more likely to be because my balance is off, which can sometimes lead to not feeling well in my stomach. And it depends on the situation, but this doesn't actually happen very often, but it can sometimes happen. This is actually pretty rare. It's not usually nausea that I'm dealing with, but I'm thankful for this because of everything that I've talked about. So like because I'm so sensitive to the nausea, I'm very thankful that I don't have this, because it would make me feel a lot worse when I get a migraine. Like I'm already dealing with a bunch of symptoms. I can't imagine having consistent amount of migraines where I'm dealing with nausea all the time. That being said, like I said, I want to go and find some wood to knock on, because I'm afraid that by saying that it's gonna come and bite me, because I feel like that happened in my life with just saying about the migraines. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I remember hearing about my friends in university having migraines, and I never had issues with chronic headaches at all back then, until like my last semester. I would say, oh my goodness, I cannot imagine what it's like dealing with chronic headaches like that. Like I hate when I get headaches with sinus colds, and like I'm lucky if I get one of those every couple of years, because that's like when my pressure would increase in my head. And I talked about that actually not that long ago when I had the cold that I had a few weeks ago. But anyways, I just remember that conversation and just going, I can't imagine. And now I'm on a preventative needle that is very expensive for migraine prevention because I get so many of them. It's just amazing how quickly life can change. As much as I hate all the symptoms that I do get, like the dizziness, the vertigo, the change in vision, the brain fog, which also really massively sucks. The fact that I can't get my words out sometimes, like the speech slurring and all of that. As much as the neurological symptoms that I have with migraines, I'm very thankful that the nausea just isn't very common. I'm not convinced that the reason maybe why I don't have a lot of nausea is because of the CGRP and like the relationship with that, with how Aimovig actually works. But the reason why I say this is because like even before, I don't remember having a lot of nausea with the migraines. The thing though, and I actually didn't write this down, the one thing that does make me very nauseous is if I get the pain in the back of my neck. And actually I should say that when I had the IIH, one of the things that I felt was pressure up and down my back, but also in the back of my neck. So the podcast won't be able to see this, but I'm kind of touching right in the middle of my neck, like kind of where the spine would go down. I had a lot of pain actually back there, and anytime I get any amount of neck kind of, it's almost like a neck stiffness, but it's not a neck stiffness, but it's a neck tightness, and it's something I used to experience a lot with the IIH. It can sometimes happen with migraines. It actually happened a couple weeks ago, and I feel as soon as I get that tightness in the back of my neck, I start to feel nauseous. Like it's very, very quick in the fact that I feel the back of my neck, and not too long after I start to get nauseous. So for me, if I get nausea at any point, it's when that tightness comes. And that was more of a symptom that I had with the IIH than it is with the migraines. I think it could be either or, but it was more common with the IIH symptoms. So I did want to mention that because that neck pain did cause me nauseousness, and this nausea is something that I've had with both the IIH and the migraines. There's no distinction when it comes to both of these, which is another reason why I decided to talk about it. I'm very, very sensitive to like sudden acceleration. This is something that I noticed a lot actually when I had the IIH, and I have noticed it too with the migraines, and I wonder if it's something to do with my inner ears. But when someone accelerates really quickly,
I get dizzy and nauseous at the same time. So, like, I'm not sure if this is a motion sickness thing or if it's related, but I know that I became more sensitive to it with the IIH and the migraines. If you guys are wanting more on that, I can probably do a separate episode. Just let me know in the comments down below, or maybe I can even make a responding to comments if you guys have anything on that. I'm not sure if I get a full episode out of motion sickness or not, but let me know and I can definitely do that one if you guys are interested. But anyways, I think that might be where I end it for today. If you guys are wanting to, you can follow me on Instagram at Awareness with Ashley. That's the same on TikTok. On there, you get the short content, other stuff. I'm hoping to post a little bit more now that I have access to the community tab. But like I said, with the community tab, it's great because I can post content really fast. That being said, I still am working a lot. So it's like I'm going to go through periods where you're not going to hear very much from me. And I do need to take a break too, just to keep my sanity. If you're interested, you can follow me on Facebook at Ashley Stewart. If you guys are watching this off of YouTube, that is the same as my YouTube channel name. So Ashley Stewart. And on Twitter at Ashley Stewart 94. Again, I just don't use Twitter that much. I basically follow the people that I want to follow on there and get news notifications, and I do share the short content and also share when I'm going live, so I guess that would be a way to get notifications off of YouTube and all of that if you guys are not into YouTube. But that's where I tend to actually do a lot of my live shows every week, is to YouTube. We do the live shows around 3 o'clock my time. It'll be a little bit after, probably quarter after 3:20, because I get off of work actually right at 3. So I will aim between 3 and 3:20. Depending on what time I get home, it'll be around 3 o'clock my time. Right now, that's 5 o'clock Eastern and 2 Pacific. During the winter months, that is 4 o'clock Eastern and be 1 Pacific around then anyways. I have to do math because it switches. So, yeah, because we don't observe daylight savings time here in Saskatchewan, so make sure you guys are paying attention to when those actually are. One of the things I could start doing is scheduling the lives, but the thing is I don't always know how I'm going to be feeling after I'm done my shift. So, like, the podcasts are really important to me to make sure that they get done, but the live shows, if I happen to not get to it, I don't get to it. That being said, speaking of YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and give this video a like. Feel free to leave a comment if you have a question, and I would be happy to do a responding to comments short video on and highlight your comment. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. With that all being said, I think that's it for this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps get the show out there. Hope to see you again next week for our next episode. Bye, everyone.